So here are the match stats there. PSG just absolutely dominant in this one. And Ale, I'm going to go to you first on this one because really and truly, we know that you were the only one choosing Real Madrid to win. We all said PSG, but they were absolutely blown out of the water.
You know that the stats don't even actually tell the whole story. As dominant as those stats were, the game itself was even worse from the perspective of Real Madrid. This was a backside whooping. PSG completely dominated Real Madrid in every facet of the game. And I can honestly tell you that this game was over even before it started. The lineups come out, and we were having this conversation as we're watching. How are these pieces going to fit for Real Madrid? And my first comment to Stewie was, they don't have enough players in the midfield. They don't have enough numbers in the midfield to try to contain the best part of PSG, which is that midfield. And so while we can focus on the individual mistakes of Raúl Asensio, of course, Antonio Rudiger, of course, before the Raúl Asensio mistake, PSG already had a clear chance by Nuno Mendes, and he took a great save from Thibaut Courtois where they had been broken through. It was they were either going to get broken through 5 minutes in, 10 minutes in, 20 minutes in. It was only a matter of time. This setup from Xabi Alonso and the player personnel that he chose for this particular game, the pieces did not fit. He essentially, what he tried to do, and I have to imagine, I have to start Mbappe. And I need to start Gonzalo Garcia as well because he's been great. And Vini's going to have to start too. So how do we make these pieces fit? I'm going to put Valverde out of the midfield, out into the right back position, and I'm not actually addressing his absence in the midfield. So you've taken the player that gives you the most activity through the midfield, at least defensively, the more back and forth player that you have in Valverde, you toss him out to the right-hand side, and you don't cover his absence in the midfield. It made absolutely no sense. We were talking about it ahead of the game, and we actually saw it play out. PSG far superior to Real Madrid in every which way, and the midfield of PSG completely dominated the pace of this game.
Robert, what did you think of how Xabi Alonso lined up his men? Because we were speaking about the players that wouldn't take part and how he would be able to incorporate Mbappe as well as Garcia.
Well, Ali's already spoken about it because they played Gonzalo Garcia on the right-hand side, and he's not a right-sided player. He's a centre-forward, an out-and-out centre-forward, a goal scorer. He's proved that in the last 3 or 4 games. So to play him out on the right-hand side wasn't quite right. Vini Jr. went on the left, went on the right, Mbappe played through the middle. They kept on swapping around. But it wasn't just the formation and the lack of players in midfield. It's what you do within that system. Now, Real Madrid didn't do either. You either press the ball as a team or you back off and stay compact. If you don't press it at the front, then you have to be compact and work really hard in midfield and at the back to make sure there's no space. They didn't do either. The midfield players, I watched, and I don't particularly get on with him at the moment in terms of how I think he plays and his work rate, Bellingham. I watched Tchouaméni, I watched Goulet, and they're standing in their positions, they're keeping their shape, but PSG are running in between them and getting the ball. There's no energy, there's no effort, there's no determination to go and win the ball. If your front three aren't really pressing the ball, because they were dropping a little bit deeper and giving PSG time on the ball, then you need to work harder the next 7 players. They've got to be really compact. They've got to work hard. They've got to make good decisions. And Real Madrid made poor decisions all over the field. The brilliant goal that we saw, the great move down the right-hand side. First of all, Rudiger came out into midfield and got played around. Bellingham got played around by Hakimi. The next recovery runs aren't right. All those things were wrong. As brilliant as PSG were, they were made to look even better by a really poor Real Madrid performance.
Wow, I've never seen Robbo break down something so passionately. I can't tell if he's impressed by PSG or disgusted by Real Madrid. Well, let's go to someone who is definitely always disgusted in Mark Ogden. And Frank Leboeuf, who is always happy, especially when PSG gets a win. But Augie, let me come to you first because you were there at the MetLife Stadium. You heard from the boys in studio. What were your thoughts on what went wrong for Real Madrid?
Well, I mean, what went wrong for Real Madrid? They were playing the best team in the world, and I think PSG really showed it today. I take Robbo's point that Real were poor, and in terms of the personnel, why don't you play Danny Carvajal at right? But play Dani Carvajal at right back, put Valverde in midfield, then that kind of solves the problem. But PSG were brilliant today. I mean, I was watching that thinking, you know, Barcelona, the Pep's Barcelona, the 2009-2011 team were the best team in the world. They're the reference point. And PSG, you know, they're getting close to that. That midfield that PSG have, Vitinha, João Neves and Fabian Ruiz, they can do everything that Barcelona team could do. Xavi, Andres, Iniesta and Sergio Busquets, they do it all. Obviously, they haven't got the longevity that Barcelona had, and that is a test now. Can PSG build on this, and can they become the dominant force that Barcelona were? But they are a really, really good team, and they absolutely destroy Real with their movement, their pace. Dembele, Hakimi. I mean, you can go on, but you know, Real were very, very poor today, and it could have been 6 or 7. At one point during the game, we actually asked our stats people what is Real Madrid's heaviest ever defeat. It's 8-1, by the way, against Espanyol. It didn't come close to that, but there were times they could have been 5 or 6 quite easily. So, all credit to PSG, they were outstanding today.
Frank, let's bring you in, shall we? Because I know you're extremely happy. How happy are you with what you saw from your boys?
That was absolutely magnificent in a way that they confirm what we all thought. They are the best team in the world, and you know, we try to find what went wrong to every opponent playing against Paris Saint-Germain, where what went wrong for the others is the fact that they play against Paris Saint-Germain, starting with Liverpool, following with Arsenal, then Atletico Madrid, a little bit Bayern Munich, of course Inter Miami, and today Real Madrid. They don't know how to cope with that team, because that team is perfect from the goalkeeper to the striker, and they can permute, they can substitute players, they all play the same football, they all understand each other, they compensate everything. I had Hakimi talking in the press conference after the game, saying how João Neves was so important for him to free him and to allow him to go forward, because he was compensating. They all work together where we don't see that to the other team. Paris Saint-Germain, yes, perfect. Jamie Carragher made on the social network a comment, which is kind of an early statement, but he said, you know, when I see Paris Saint-Germain playing, it's like Barcelona with Pep Guardiola at the time. It's the beginning of it. I don't know if it's going to last as long as that fantastic team, but they're unplayable right now. They're really unplayable, and it can be, yes, of course, not Real Madrid, because Real Madrid, we have seen all the season long, the last season, how average they've been. But we are talking about Liverpool, we are talking about Arsenal, even Atletico Madrid with the way.
Oh, I believe we lost Frank there. We'll get him back. Too much excitement.
They had enough.
To Frank's point, and I'm in full agreement. And while there's a lot of criticism for Real Madrid, no question, I really feel the bigger story here is PSG and how good they continue to show themselves to be.
Unplayable.
Coming into this tournament, we weren't quite sure how teams would address it. Is it like a pre-season kind of glorified for so many of these clubs? And PSG come into this as defending European champions. They probably had the biggest excuse as to wanting to downing tools without there being any kind of blowback. Yet again, in this tournament, you just feel that they've gotten better and better. And as you look at Real Madrid and you look at Xabi Alonso, what he did right, what he did wrong, maybe more to the point, Real Madrid's team, to match up against PSG, you have to have a match of quality and running. Whether you want to argue if Real Madrid have the quality, maybe we could. They certainly don't have the running. Outside of Valverde, I'm not sure who stays step for step with anybody in PSG's outfield 10. And as a result, this was always going to be a hiding to nothing for Real Madrid, and that's exactly how it proved. In the build-up to the third goal, just as PSG are playing the ball around in the back, we were sitting there watching the game, and I remember Ali and Robbo talking about the starting position of Hakimi, how important it is to PSG and how advanced it was. And all of a sudden, through him, through that right-hand side, that third goal comes. Because nobody, certainly in the white of Real Madrid, could cope with the legs of PSG on this showing. And given what we've seen, again, we could ask questions as to who in European football, or indeed world football, has both the quality and the legs to match PSG. Certainly nobody in this tournament. Is a big question to ask with the start or restart of the Champions League.
What PSG do so well is that the hardest thing in football is to change your pace. You can play at high intensity, all the time, or you can play it slow and keep the ball. What PSG do is pick the right time to go quickly and the right time to slow it down. So if you want to play a passing game, they pass slowly, they pass it, and then suddenly they see the forward pass and there's a break forward. And that's what happened for that goal, because it was actually Donnarumma that played the ball out to Hakimi, and they tried to press for once, Real Madrid, and he played round that, and suddenly we're watching the game, whoa, and your words, oh, here we go. You can see it all open up. And they just do it so quickly. It's brilliant from PSG.
And so to that point, the reason that you're able to have Hakimi so far up the field, or Nuno Mendes for that matter, so far up the field. Again, Nuno Mendes could have scored a goal 5 minutes in. That's how dominant PSG were right off the bat. It's because you trust that the players that are showing for the ball in the midfield, that not only are they not going to turn the ball over, that they're going to find the splitting pass that now frees up Hakimi and frees up Nuno Mendes. So you're no longer thinking about how do we get from this phase, from the defensive third into the middle third. You already know that you're going to be in the middle third because you trust that your midfield players are going to be able to get on the turn and find the splitting pass, which then allows Hakimi to be in a position where he is 30 yards further forward than he should be. Nuno Mendes, the same thing. You know who's not 30 yards further back defending? In this case, Vini Jr. He's not tracking that run. Is Kylian Mbappe tracking that run on the other side from Nuno? No, it's not happening. And so if you have, they're not fearful. PSG are not fearful of what happens if they turn the ball over because they know they're not going to turn the ball over. And so therefore, that puts a premium on defending from attacking players. And what do we know for certain about Real Madrid attacking players, in particular Vini Jr. and Kylian Mbappe? That they're not gonna chase, that they're not gonna defend. And so Hakimi further forward, Nuno Mendes further forward, nobody pressing the ball, then it becomes a whole lot easier for PSG to do what they do better than everybody else in the world.
Here's the other thing, too. When we start looking at this PSG team and in their personalities, and you talk about quality, every single position, if we're picking the best player in every single position in the park, a PSG player is in the conversation.
Yeah.
No, you might decide, well, no, I prefer this one over that one. But in that conversation, every single player from PSG starting 11 is in that conversation to be had. And that speaks to, again, the quality that Luis Enrique can call on, and more to the point, the running that we saw.
And also what he's done with the team. Because if you looked at those players a year ago, would you have said they were the best players in the world?
Not even a year ago.
No,
6 months ago.
But he has found a formation and system of play that's made these players look like world-class players. And that's what they are at the moment, world-class players in a world-class team.
And that's absolutely wild to think, considering that PSG has been littered with world-class players before and were not able to get the main job done, which was win the Champions League. And they had a certain Kylian Mbappe. I believe we have our Frank Leboeuf back. Frank, let me come to you on Mbappe, because, of course, that was the biggest headline heading into this semi-final, the fact that he was facing his former club and a club that we know he does care about a lot. But it wasn't a good day for your boy.
Oh, no, of course not. And that's just a confirmation that what happened with Mbappe is the result of Mbappe behavior. What he was doing in the past years with Paris Saint-Germain didn't allow Paris Saint-Germain to win the Champions League. And we have to say the truth. Even if we think the best of Mbappe when he has the ball and everything, we all consider that he doesn't do enough. And we see it with Real Madrid since he signed for Real Madrid. He doesn't do the job like he didn't do the job when he was at Paris Saint-Germain. He has a part of working defensively when he loses the ball. So, but that was predictable. And everybody agreed that if he didn't work, if he didn't decide to work with Real Madrid like he wasn't working for Paris Saint-Germain, that would be the same result. And it's what we have. So that guy has to wake up, really. He has to wake up, because he's a fantastic player, but that's not enough to consider that he's having a good career. That's insane, because he ended up being the Pichichi of the Spanish Liga, but everybody, people who know football, can consider that it's not enough. And if you want to be a great, great player, you have to do something else. He has to wake up.
Well, what do you think, actually, that Kylian Mbappe thinks about himself right now? Because it's one thing to see PSG from afar, see them winning Champions League, and while that would have been a powerful message to him, now he saw it up close. And we are not hanging with these guys. The team that I'm with right now cannot hang with the team that I was. That was my team. That was my group. But my group did not play close to that well when I was there.
Yeah.
And now the group that I'm in cannot match that. And what's the difference between them and us? Oh, wait a minute. I was there, and they're better without me. And I came here, and you can argue that they're worse with me. Does a player like Kylian Mbappe, as good as he is, as talented as he is he able to have that conversation with himself? Is there enough humility there to have that conversation and say, that team that I left has now become the best team in the world. And the team that I'm with right now was the best team in the world, and it's no longer the case.
The answer is he will say, 44 goals this season, I've done my job. That's what he will be thinking. I'm sure that's the case.
And I'm sure you disagree.
Oh, I disagree. That's what he will be thinking. He'll say, I've scored 44 goals. I've done my job. It's everybody else.
It's
That's
everybody
what players
else.
do.
You know those strikers are like.
I know, Shaka. They're not team players, are they?
No.
But Robbo, just to the point, sticking with Mbappe and sticking with Real Madrid, we know that Xabi Alonso is still getting used to the team and whatnot. But does it look, from what we have seen, at least in this Club World Cup, that he has a bigger job to do than what we originally thought?
Well, we thought not quite so much. When he stuck to the system that he'd been playing in the previous games, you could see what he was trying to do. There was some good rotation. You could see that Bellingham was going to play in the number 10 role, and he was going to make forward runs. He was going to play with two front players, whoever those two front players were. But he tried to fit people into the team today, and it didn't work. And he's got to be saying to himself, I made a massive mistake, and I can't do that again. I've got to be braver. I've got to pick the team that I think can go and win the game, not pick individuals that I have to pick, or that, because he scored 5 goals, Gonzalo Garcia, I've got to pick him, and Mbappe, he's a star player, so I've got to pick him. You pick the team that can win the game. He picked the wrong team today.
If you watch PSG against Bayern Munich, and for long periods of time, Bayern Munich were creating issues against PSG, it's because they were willing to press higher up the field. It's because they were trying to disrupt that ball into Vitinha, that ball into Joao Neves, that ball into Fabian Ruiz, or whoever it may be. That they were trying to get into those passing lanes. They were trying to get in the faces of the center back so they didn't have a free pass, a free outlet.
And do you think Harry Kane's the most athletic player? But he did a job, because he said, OK, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to force it to the fullback. We're going to go and press there. We're going to make it difficult for PSG to get out.
So, in order for Bayern Munich to make it difficult, it had to be that front line that was willing to press, that was willing to run around. So I go back to an initial point. When are Vini Jr. and Kylian Mbappe, when have they ever, and when will they ever actually be a front line that goes and presses? They have to look, if I were these players, I would look to the players on the other side. And I would look at Dembele and Due and Kvaratskhelia and see them pressing, see them getting on top of players, see them participating in the defensive part of the game, and how that helps PSG. Real Madrid, and these two players in particular, are not willing to do that. Why did it work so well with Gonzalo Garcia? Because he was willing to go and press. And so then that disrupts that first pass, which then allows the second line, defending line of Real Madrid to come and win the ball and regain possession of the ball higher up the field. Until these guys are not willing to do that, Real Madrid are going to be in trouble, because Xabi Alonso with Bayer Leverkusen, what did he do? He went and pressed. If he expects these guys to do that, the conversation has to be very truthful and very honest. This is what I want you to do. And so far, it hasn't happened.
Well, interesting that Ali brings that up, Shaka, because, again, we say that there's a couple of teams in this world for managers that can make their life difficult. You say to lose with one team is one thing, but to lose with the Real Madrid is a different thing. To lose with Manchester United is a different thing. The pressure, the eyes are on you. Xabi Alonso, yes, he has won glory, but as Ali was saying now, you're going to have to be a lot honest with some bigger name players as well. So is this going to be his ultimate test now?
Well, first of all, I'm not sure how Manchester United come into that conversation.
Shaka, you know what I mean.
Or Toulouse. When would Toulouse ever?
I said to lose with them. A lot of eyes are on you.
I'm not sure how you shoehorn them in there. But
I know what you were saying.
Thank you, Robbo.
But to your point, the ask of Xabi Alonso is not new. There's nothing that's been revealed to Xabi Alonso during the course of this tournament, or indeed during the course of these 90 minutes. It's the inability to answer that very very question is why Carlo Ancelotti is no longer Real Madrid manager. How do you fit Vinicius Jr. and Kylian Mbappe into a starting 11 and fashion that into a Champions League winning team? Now, that's what Xabi Alonso has been tasked with. Now, Gonzalo Garcia comes in and throws a different headache, so to speak, during the course of this tournament that Xabi Alonso now has to figure out. But that's ultimately how and where he'll be judged. Can he get the best out of them in terms of a Champions League winning team? On this evidence, it's no. But, again, that he knew when he arrived.
Yeah.
He knew when he accepted his job that was going to be how his tenure will be defined.
Well, my spidey senses are telling me that Mark Ogden wants to get in on this conversation. But Augie, I know you're roasting out there, but you were there in the stadium as well. And I just wanted, because we've been following this tournament as well. And apart from Boca Juniors and Flamengo, we know that the next best supported team here has been Real Madrid. I think it was over 70,000 in the MetLife Stadium today. I'm sure majority were cheering for Real Madrid. So what was the reaction like? Were they shell-shocked when PSG won so dominantly?
I think they were shell-shocked, yeah. It was a sea of white shirts. It was absolutely full of Real Madrid fans, and there was a very small corner of PSG fans. And, yeah, there was a sense of shock there, but also I think a sense of appreciation as well. I think a sense of appreciation that, you know, a lot of the fans in this stadium aren't your kind of game-to-game Bernabeu, you know, Madridistas. These are the fans that watched them from afar. And I think they watched PSG and thought, I might start supporting PSG next week because they're better than Real Madrid. I mean, they are such an exciting team to watch. But just to pick up on what the lad was saying, I know you've gone in depth about the work rate of the Real Madrid team and the Mbappes. There was a stat that flashed up at half-time, a FIFA stat. On average, it took Real Madrid 45 seconds to win the ball back in the first half. It took PSG 23 seconds. They've got the best team in the world working twice as hard as Real Madrid to get the ball back, and that's why they won today. And that's the problem that Xabi Alonso's got. He's got to make this team work a lot harder than it is. You can get by with one player that doesn't put the work in. You know, Lionel Messi never used to work that hard for Barcelona, but you can't have Mbappe, Vinny Jr., even Jude Bellingham picking and choosing when they run. And that's the issue. But that, for me, that stat was like, you know, Real Madrid are not good enough to play against PSG, taking twice as long to win the ball back, and that was why they got hammered.
Hammered is exactly what they did. Well, Xabi Alonso has a couple of weeks to kind of wonder how he's going to make this Real Madrid team bounce back, but La Liga is back on ESPN on August 15th. Real Madrid will open their campaign against Osasuna and the reigning champions Barcelona. They will be in action on the 16th against Mallorca.
Oh.
Welcome back to ESPN FC. We've been hanging out in New York this week because, like I said, it has been the place to be as we take in the semifinals and the final of the FIFA Club World Cup. And now we are down to two. This is it, an all-European final. Chelsea up against PSG, an enticing matchup, I would say. Robbo, let me come to you. How do you see this going?
It's going to be difficult for Chelsea. We've just talked about how Real Madrid didn't press the ball, how they didn't be compact either. You've got to try and make PSG as predictable as possible, as Bayern did for 30, 40 minutes in that first game. So Chelsea have to try and make PSG as predictable as they possibly can, which is difficult. Force them down one side of the field, lock them in down one side of the field, make it difficult for players in midfield to rotate and spin the ball out to the other side to get Hakimi breaking down that right-hand side. But when they have the ball, they've got to make sure they break into the space where Hakimi's left. Neto, I think, was excellent yesterday, if he can produce the same sort of dribbling skills. They've got to make sure when they play out from the back, they play out from the back well, which they can do, Chelsea. And quite often it's the Chalobah, the right-sided centre-half, who has time on the ball, because that's how they try and work it, that he, when he comes forward with it, picks the right passes into the likes of Gusto, out to the wide right player, to get the midfield player, Cole Palmer, into the game. But again, key will be that central midfield for Chelsea. If those players play well, and we don't know whether the central midfield player is going to be fit, it's going to be a tough game, but Chelsea will be better than Real Madrid, I think.
Oh, Chelsea better than Real Madrid. Frank, let me come to you for this one, because I know you're an emotional guy. You feel a lot of feelings, and these are two of your favorite clubs, of course, Paris being there in Paris, and of course your boys from Chelsea. How do you see this one going?
Well, I've tried to be optimistic for Chelsea, but according to what I've seen from both clubs, it's hard for me to not predict, like any other team which plays against Paris Saint-Germain, to not lose like 3-0 or 4-0. That's what it is. And I'm scared for the young boys of Chelsea, because that could be a lesson. Will it be a good lesson or a bad one? I don't know. But Chelsea will have to be very, very good, as Robo said, very strong in the middle of the park with Caicedo and Enzo Fernandez to make sure that they can hold João Neves, Fabian Ruiz, and Vitinha, of course. So it's going to be a big task for all the Chelsea players, but the opportunity to surprise everybody. Already, I'm very happy with what they've done so far in that Club World Cup. Reaching the final is great. Now the last step is the hardest one, and I'm not sure, like any other club in the world, they can cope with Paris Saint-Germain.
Well, Frank, yesterday on the show, we were speaking about how all of us have been very impressed by the new kid on the block for Chelsea, and João Pedro. He was saying the right things. He, of course, scored 2 goals yesterday. He's looking very full of confidence.
He was playing against his former club, so he didn't want too much celebrating, but that was impressive, really impressive, because you can feel the guy's there, he's confident about his football, he knows what he can do, and he already feels his teammates. That's very good for Chelsea. We all know that, like Arsenal, Chelsea needed a real striker, and hopefully, I hope it's going to last like that. João Pedro is the future and the great striker that Chelsea needed.
Well, Augie, you're going to be at the final this weekend as well. You heard it there from Robbo. He feels Chelsea actually could be better than Real Madrid against PSG. Frank can't really find that much of an argument for them. Where do you stand?
Well, if you look at the two teams, you pick the best starting 11 that Chelsea have got and the best one that PSG have got, and not a single Chelsea player gets in the PSG team. I don't think you can find any single one. Seriously, I mean, you could make a case of João Pedro, but then you can't, because you look at the PSG forwards and they're just so good. So I can't see any way that PSG don't win this game unless Chelsea have an incredible game and that PSG can't handle the heat. But I'm just kind of making like excuses here that PSG might not win. PSG should win quite comfortably, but yeah, I think that Chelsea will be better than Real, because I think all the players will work for the team. But a big question mark, as Robbo said, is Moises Caicedo. He went off on Tuesday against Fluminense with an ankle injury. If he's not fit, then they've got their best kind of ball-winning midfielder that could actually disrupt PSG a little bit. So if Moises Caicedo's not there, you can forget it, Chelsea. But even with him, I think it's going to be really, really hard.
Ale, you went against the grain last time, choosing Real Madrid. I'm just reminding you how wrong you were. This time around, are you going against the grain again, or will it just be another predictable win for PSG?
Go on, go against the grain. Go on.
Go against the grain, Ale. Find something for Chelsea.
Yeah. See, I'm not dumb. I said yes. I'm not dumb.
Even when you pick Real Madrid.
Again.
I was a younger Ali.
I was a younger
Ali.
A bit naive Ali.
Yes.
In that case,
He's not
I said that
naive
I
now.
was being selfish, because I had selected Real Madrid to win this competition sometime last week when we did the prediction. So I was also being stubborn, which are things that are pretty usual.
And you didn't think Xavi Alonso was going to pick that team.
I also, yes,
Oh, okay.
my conversation with Xavi Alonso ahead of the match did not work.
No.
Obviously did not work. No, I am really concerned about Chelsea in that midfield. And the numbers don't work already for Chelsea in that midfield. So Caicedo has to be at his best. Enzo Fernandez, in terms of what he can do offensively, is going to be very limited, because he's going to have a lot of responsibilities defensively. And you're going to have to demand that Cole Palmer drops in a defensive position when Chelsea doesn't have the ball. Otherwise, it's already a built-in 3v2 through the midfield. And if you do that with PSG, we've already established how good their midfield is. According to Mark Ogden, it's the best thing since Barcelona, this, that, and the other. Okay. Look, if that's indeed the case, then a 3v2 is not going to work for Chelsea. I see PSG being, at this point, a far superior version of what Chelsea wants to become.
Chaka?
Yeah, I don't see it any different, in all honesty. Listen, João Pedro has given Chelsea a different look, but still, I don't think anywhere near good enough to be better than PSG. Better than Real Madrid, certainly, but as we kind of all attested earlier, Real Madrid could have lost by 8, so that's a pretty low bar for Chelsea to climb. This PSG team is just too good. About about the only hope you give Chelsea at this point is thanks to our own walking, talking thermometer. It's hot out there.
It's hot out there.
As our own walking thermometer, Mark Ogden will...
Does Frank get a cut of the transfer fee for João Pedro? Because he did say that he found it last year.
He said that he discovered the player.
Discovered him.
You didn't know that he is a coordinator of the talent scouting department. Yes.
Sorry.
Yes, he discovered João Pedro. Nobody had seen him play until Frank did.
Well, let's actually go to Frank on another talent, and it's one that we're not going to argue about, Frank. It's Dembélé, of course, but I know how much you love Ballon d'Or, so is Dembélé the winner now for the Ballon d'Or, or are you still going to give a nod to Lamine Yamal?
No. For me, Ousmane Dembélé could win the Ballon d'Or, but you have to think about also you could give to other people, like Fabian Ruiz. He's been outstanding with Spain. He's been outstanding with Paris Saint-Germain. You could give to Hakimi as well, but nobody cares about fullbacks and midfielders. So Ousmane is really in a very good position to win it, and I really wish him to win it, even if I don't care about the Ballon d'Or. But definitely, it's going to be a fight. And if they win the Club World Cup, if he carries on working like he does and be successful like he does, Ousmane Dembélé has all the chances to get that fantastic trophy.
If he was going to throw out names, and he mentioned Fabian Ruiz and mentioned Hakimi, then you mentioned Vitinha.
Yep.
Who not only won the Champions League, but also won a Nations League and seems well on his way to winning Club World Cup.
Augie, what about you? If Dembélé puts in a big performance in the final, finds the back of the net again, or even Vitinha as well, who gets the nod for Ballon d'Or for you?
Well, I just wrote about that today, actually, just about this game. I just thought Dembélé probably sealed the deal with his goal in the first half, a fantastic goal, also got an assist as well. Look, I mean, the Ballon d'Or's handed out in September, so there's not much time for anybody else to do anything right now. But, Frank's right. Hakimi's had a fantastic year. I remember seeing Trent Alexander-Arnold say that he went to Real Madrid because he wants to be, or one of his reasons is to become the first right-back to win the Ballon d'Or. I think Hakimi's way ahead of him in that race, and I think Hakimi could win it. But let's be honest, a midfielder won it last year with Rodri. I don't see that happening again. I think Dembélé wins it by a long chalk. I think maybe Yamal second, but Hakimi would deserve to be in the top three.
All right, well, Mark Ogden, Frank Leboeuf, we're going to let you go. Mark, we know that you're absolutely melting. Go get yourself some AC. Frank always has something exciting to do in Paris, so we're going to let you guys go. Thanks so much for joining us. All right, well, the big final of the Club World Cup is this Sunday. Chelsea up against Paris Saint-Germain, 3 p.m. Eastern Time on DAZN. Do not miss it. Well, yesterday on the show, we spoke about Jamal Musiala's injury and the debate it has caused in the football world. Of course, after seeing a horrendous injury like that, everyone was wondering if they need to blame this man, Gianluigi Donnarumma. Well, we heard from two other big goalkeepers, Manuel Neuer, Musiala's teammate, and we also heard from Thibaut Courtois. But as Shaka reminded us yesterday, it's all about how Musiala is feeling. Well, he finally spoke out today, so let's have a listen.
Hello, everyone. I wanted to say thank you for all the love and support I got from all of you. It really means a lot to me. It's nice to see how the football world comes together in a time like this, and I really appreciate it. The surgery went really well. I'm in good care, and I wanted to say there's no one to blame for this. I think situations like this happen, and now I'm just going to use the next period of time just to build up my strength and positivity again. And I'm looking forward to seeing you guys again.
All right, Jamal Musiala there, finally speaking out, Shaka.
Yeah, and it's great to hear from him, given everything that he's had to endure, him understanding that these are just one of the things that happen in the game. As players, we know injuries are part of it. It's never convenient. You never know when it's going to come, but you've got to take it in stride, and quite clearly, Jamal Musiala doing exactly that.
Yes, indeed. It's good to see that he's already had surgery and is on the mend, but Bayern Munich are still going to have to do without him for a couple of months. They're back in action in the German Super Cup against Stuttgart. That's August 16th, 2 p.m. Eastern Time. Don't miss it. It's on ABC and ESPN+. All right, welcome back to ESPN FC. You know we only hit you with the hard-hitting stories. Now, a 700-pound pigeon. What? I'm going to try to say this without laughing. Took flight down the Hudson River today as part of an NYC FC. Took sail
Okay.
700 pounds. That's about as big as Xhaka, to be honest.
What?
According to the club, according to the club, it's designed to stop soccer fans in their tracks and raise the profile of the club in this summer of soccer. It got my attention.
Don't look at me.
Shaka,
I'm still reeling over that comment a minute ago.
Shaka, you're wearing about the similar color as the pigeon.
yeah.
But Ali, it's also about the new stadium because we know NYCFC are building a new stadium.
Wow. I don't know how you connect the pigeon to the stadium, but now we're talking about the stadium.
The
So
pigeon stopped. It stopped at different ports, and one of the stops was Willets Point, which is where the stadium's going to be.
well, no,
Why didn't it stop at the other ones then?
refuel.
Just to refuel.
The pigeon.
Pigeons need refueling.
A 700-pound pigeon takes a lot of refueling, Robbo.
Apparently, it's like 5 stories high. They said. Robbo doubts it.
I doubt it's 5 stories high. And all I know is that I got a lot of pigeons in my garden, and the next door neighbour likes to shoot them. So
Oh, I don't know.
that's all I know about pigeons.
We are not shooting any pigeons. As you know me, I'm an animal person. Let the pigeons live. I love pigeons.
Oh no, pigeons are all right. It's the next door neighbour that doesn't like them.
All right, well, here's what went on in the Women's Euro today. This is a look at Group D.
And Saka, apparently.
Remember, guys, let me talk about the Women's Euro.
Oh, sorry.
Remember, this was the group of death: France, England, Netherlands, Wales. But England, when they looked down and out after losing to France in their opening game, they came back absolutely roaring. A 4-0 win over the Netherlands, so that puts them in nice position to advance. The Netherlands now have it all to do because they play France in their last game.
Are you going to talk about the fact that you said that Xhaka has let
We're
himself go?
still on this, guys. Let's talk about some transfers.
Yeah, we're still on it. Yeah, we're still on
If
it.
you want to stay up to date on the latest transfers going on in this summer transfer window, you can check out our transfer rumors segment on our website. All right, Shaka, do you want to hash anything out?
No.
Are you still
We'll
upset?
settle this off here.
What? Wait a minute.
Oh,
what?
hello.
Shaka, I just meant that the pigeon was very strong looking, very imposing, very, roar. And
No,
that's
we
what I
don't
think
know.
of you.
We don't know. We don't
That's
know.
what I think of
What
you.
a diet.
You said
Put it in a
outside
diet from right now.
Xhaka was losing his shape. That's what you said.
I never said Shaka.
Are you all trading me for Gareth Bale
Anyways,
tomorrow? Is that what's
that's going to be it for our show today. Peace. All right, welcome into Extra Time, where Shaka is still harboring feelings from something I said 15 minutes ago. Shaka?
It wasn't 15 minutes
It
ago.
was 10 minutes ago.
It was
About 7
3
minutes
minutes
ago.
ago.
Shaka, I just said, listen,
And it hurt.
big is beautiful.
You hurt my...
Big is beautiful.
When you're in a hole, stop digging, Alexis.
You've contradicted yourself today. Earlier on, you said he was lanky.
I know.
Now you were
I
saying
never
he's
said he was
piled on
lanky.
the
I said
pounds.
nimble. I said nimble. You said lanky.
Can we actually
Get to extra time?
keep it factual about Xhaka?
Yes.
The depth of his voice.
The depth of his voice.
When he goes into a caring conversation,
He's so
as
caring.
he did about
Jamal
Musiala, it touches your heart.
I've never seen someone care so much.
And I've got to
Touches
say,
your
the
heart.
honesty as well.
Yes.
The honesty.
That's what
It's
I
the
love
Shaka
about it.
voice.
It's nurturing.
It just makes me want to be a better person all
Yeah,
around.
good.
doesn't
Have you
it?
ever thought about reading children's books? Like Jack and Nora or something like that?
Oh, boy.
That would be a great job for you.
Goodness me.
All right, let's
Who
get
let
into
you all in the building?
Let's get into some questions, shall we? All right. Start, bench, drop, guys. Are you ready?
Yep.
Start, bench, drop. 2025 PSG. So we're talking about teams. 2023 Manchester City. Or 2010 Barcelona.
Oh, boy.
Okay.
Well, go on, you start.
I have a feeling I'll agree with Ali.
Start 2010 Barcelona.
Yep.
I'm gonna bench 2023 Manchester City,
Okay.
and I'm gonna drop 2025 PSG. And the only reason I'm gonna do that is because 6-7 months ago, this was not PSG. And
Yeah, but
what?
6-7 months ago, it wasn't 2025 either.
No, what? This is a good point.
7
Valid
months it
point.
was 2025, Shaka. 7 months ago was 2025. We're in July, so that's 7 months.
Well, the point being is
6.5.
Yeah.
No, but it's
Seven-
July 1st makes it
No,
7 months.
7 months ago.
We digress.
It would have been
We
December
digress.
9th. 7 months ago was December.
What?
It's
Don't
July.
let me get the fingers out.
It's July. It's the
He's
7th
right.
month.
He's right.
So 7 months ago was December.
Okay, let's go back.
all I'm
I stand
suggesting
corrected.
is that what we have seen from PSG, while it has been great, and it really has been great, it has been a great 6-7 months.
Yes.
Right?
They're 25.
6-7 months.
months.
I need to see more of this PSG team. The signs of what we have seen from PSG actually tell us that the trajectory is very positive, and I'm all for it. But what we saw over the course of a long period of time of the 2010 Barcelona and the 2023 Manchester City, over the whole year, I think it's superior to what we have seen so far from PSG. That's it.
I like Ala's explanation.
100%. You can't disagree
You
with
agree
that.
as well?
Yeah, absolutely.
Shaka?
No,
You don't agree?
No, I don't. I am benching 2025 PSG, and I'm dropping 2023 Man City.
Okay.
Just because while Man City and I get all the points, I thought certainly during the course of this calendar year, PSG were better in the Champions League, including the final, than certainly Manchester City were against, was it Inter Milan in 2023 in their final. So that's why I give PSG the nod.
All right.
You see
That honesty again.
Is that honesty?
Yes, and then he goes
Wait.
deep and quiet at the same
Quiet.
time.
He's a gentle
It's
giant.
like the
A bit
voice.
like he was in the mill last night when he went deep, quiet, and then fell asleep.
Hey, what a move it was from Shaka.
What a move.
Past
We
the
were
bedtime.
at the birthday dinner.
We took Ale out for a birthday dinner.
And what a meal it was. It
was
we had a lot.
fantastic.
We had a lot
Great.
of
It was
fun.
lovely.
Saka, as the appetizers came out, already said, "I'm a little tired." he started giving signs.
Robbo paid.
By the time we actually
Had
had dinner and had finished our meal,
we were finishing. Some of us were still picking.
Saka actually went to the restroom, which was a very strong move. Went to the restroom. When he came back, he never sat back down. He picked up his jacket. Are we
That's
going?
it.
Are we ready?
It was
But-
the three yawns as he put his jacket on.
But what I have to say is they weren't listening, but Shaka was sitting beside me and I listened to my dear friend because I feel when he's fading. And he says,
He wasn't
gives
fading.
us warnings and he goes, guys, I'm fading.
He wasn't fading.
Guys, I'm fading.
He wasn't fading. He was collapsing, and
He
we've
was-
seen Shaka collapse
Oh,
before.
we've seen
He
Shaka
was
collapse.
looking like that.
Listen, I make no excuses. I have a hard stop at 10 o'clock.
You have a hard time.
Hard stop.
But this was 9:30.
I need to be in my bed at 10 o'clock. Wherever I am, when 10 o'clock hits, I'm going to sleep.
When you're
Back on
45-ish,
All I would say is, Shaka, today, Ali showed me a list of his photos, which is quite interesting, but there was about 10 of them where you're lying on a couch asleep when you're meant to be watching football. That's all I would say.
What time was it?
It wasn't 10.
but
It
can we
wasn't
say
10.
10 o'clock somewhere.
Shaka did not fall asleep during PSG Real Madrid.
Yeah, he did not.
He was
That's right.
thoroughly
Yeah,
entertained.
All right. Thank you, Shaka.
All
Thank
right.
you. Thank
Well,
you.
the next
Thank
question
you.
now, I feel like this is one for Shaka, but he does say, for the guys, how long do you need to reboot after a 3-week holiday? Now, as our connoisseur of 3-week
I
holidays,
wasn't aware
Shaka,
for that. I don't know.
how long do you need to reboot? Because you
I've
obviously
never been
haven't-
on a 3-week.
You just came back from a 3-week holiday,
no.
and you obviously haven't
2 weeks.
rebooted.
2 weeks.
You're still falling asleep at
2
dinner.
weeks.
2 weeks and change.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks a little bit.
2 weeks-ish.
2 weeks. It wasn't
Two-ish-ish
3,
weeks.
but it wasn't 3.
How long do you need to reboot, Shaka? Because obviously yesterday wasn't speaking wonders.
What?
How long do you need to reboot after a 3-week
I was
holiday?
here yesterday. What do you mean? I was,
Yeah, but you faded.
no,
get back
I've got
in
nothing
your
doing my holiday. I'm a hard 10 o'clock every day.
Man.
Oh, hang on. Let's give him credit.
Except for Trinidad Carnival
He's
time.
come back and he's been magnificent on the
He
show.
has,
Yeah,
he
so
has.
that's when it matters,
He
not
has.
what he's doing when he comes
right.
out with us on Ali's birthday.
Wait, well, don't be dismissive of my birthday.
Well, you've had 3 days of birthday.
Don't get angry about
2
it.
days ago.
Yeah,
I
you've
never
been
got anything
milking
for
this.
my birthday. Did you get anything
He
for your
has had
birthday,
3
Shaka?
days.
You know about milking.
No, you
You
don't.
milked
Yeah,
a
yeah.
vacation.
Oh, God.
Wait.
So do you need how long do you need to reboot, Ale, after 3 weeks?
Oh, I'm back in all the way.
Back in, baby.
Like me.
Robbo?
I'm going to find out because I'm going to have a new knee replacement
Oh!
about 5 days' time. So I've got to have a little time out. So I'll see how long it takes me to reboot.
Speaking of the perfect
Is that how you live your life? That getting a knee replacement is a holiday?
Yeah.
That's a
When you
holiday.
get to a certain age.
I'm going to be at home with my wife. That's a lovely holiday. There we are.
Oh, bless.
Nobody's saying anyway. They obviously don't agree.
All right, let's move on. Who has been the player of the Club World Cup so far?
Who's been the player of the Club World Cup so far? It's got to be somebody from PSG. I'm going to go with Hakimi.
Okay,
I
Graham.
thought he was magnificent today, and he's going to probably be magnificent in the final as well.
I agree with that.
Okay.
But it has to be somebody from PSG. No, it's nobody else.
What was that? You faded again.
No, I said it has to be somebody from PSG.
We need to
Not
plug
the
you again or what?
No,
We need to reboot you.
What's the time? It has to be somebody from PSG. It's not going to be anybody else. Was my.
Check us in. What's the time? It's only about 7 o'clock, guys, and we still have to have dinner. So we have 2 hours within which to get Shaka to his bed. Okay, you all played for multiple clubs in your career. Which spell or stay were you most fond of?
Probably at Arsenal between I was in the team from 1981 to 1987. I would say from 1984 to 86 was the best period.
Oh, that was prime Robbo.
Yeah.
I wasn't
I was
born
still
then.
young, but it was probably the best I played for those couple of years.
Oh, it's such a shame. I wasn't born then, but I would have loved to see prime.
What?
boy.
What? What a shot that was!
No.
What a shot
I'm
that
really
was!
seeing stats.
He just poured his heart out.
I know.
Now he has to
I
get a
know.
knee replacement.
I know.
And you just double down. Granddad.
Yes. I wish I'd seen it.
Jeez.
I wish I'd seen it. I wasn't born.
Was it 3 or 4 days ago? Who are you looking forward to seeing when they come to the show? Ali or
that was-
Robbo?
Ali, because I haven't
She
seen
said Ali.
Ali in a long time. I hadn't seen
Number
Ali.
one.
Now she's-
Number one.
now she said I'm way
Well,
too old.
to my number one, Ali. What about you? Which stint did you enjoy the most in your club career?
Let's go Crew. Columbus Crew.
Ah.
Won a
Shaka?
title
Shaka, I
there.
feel-
He's still exploding.
I'm
Let's
done.
not cut
I'm
him
done.
off.
I'm done. I'm
No.
done. I'm done. Go ahead, Shaka. She had enough of my explanation.
I'm going to carry on with this question. What about for Venezuela? What was your big period for them?
Right around the same.
Oh, okay.
Right around the same, yes.
That was peak Ali.
That
What year was that? Was I born?
We're
I was
talking
born.
about somewhere between like 97. No,
Oh, yeah.
not 97. Sorry. Oops. 2007 to like 2010.
Oh, yeah.
You were born then.
you
weren't
born
you?
I was very much thriving
okay,
then.
okay.
I was thriving then. I think I was like in third form. I don't know what that is here. In Jamaica, we call it forms. It's like your third year in high school.
Oh, boy.
Or middle school.
I'm afraid to see
Shaka,
when
what
it's mine
about
now.
you?
Yeah.
I'm afraid to see.
Shaka, I feel like you're torn because you have a lot of sentimental feelings for multiple clubs. I know you love West
kind of
Ham,
guy.
but I know you love Newcastle, but I know you love Reading.
I played my best football after my first 18 months at West Ham, so 98 through,
Great
The
year.
Hammer of the year.
yeah,
You were hammer
probably
of the
the end of 98, and then I broke my leg in February 2000. That was my best football up until breaking my
But
leg.
what he enjoyed most, because he's a money man, as we know about, is Maserati.
He's Maserati.
Was his time at Portsmouth when all sorts of money was being thrown his way.
Oh.
My lawyers have told me not to address that question.
Oh, boy.
No idea what
There
you're
you have
talking
it.
about. Short.
How many more Maseratis did he buy?
No, I
after
don't.
that?
What? Move on. Move it on.
All right. Next question now from Ted. To all, thoughts on newly purchased players being allowed to add into rosters mid-tournament? This isn't an injury replacement or return for injury, but someone who was never at the club.
I think it devalues the tournament and the seriousness with which we can take this tournament. It's similar, and I know the guys perhaps have a different approach to this. It's similar to me that when the players are not watching the game on the bench, they're sitting in the stands. You would never do that if this was a World Cup, for example. It is the approach that managers take to a preseason friendly. You would make that decision at preseason friendly. You wouldn't do that in a competitive environment. Just like you wouldn't allow this to happen in, say, for example, a Champions League. Or the fact that you're allowed to do this, I think it puts into question the validity of the rosters themselves, and the fact that Joao Pedro is going to be a key factor for Chelsea, not only advancing into the final, but potentially winning the final, puts into question how this tournament was put together.
And add to that,
No, you're good.
You've got 3 or 4 players that have retired from football that are saying, "Oh yeah, but I'll play."
I'll hang on.
Yeah, I'll hang on. We'll keep you going. You know, where all the
farewell tour.
Yeah, Luka Modric had his farewell game. Muller, Lucas Vazquez, likewise. You know, waving to the crowd. That's the end of me. Thanks very much. Oh no, but you're going to carry on playing in that.
Yeah, that's true. Well, that's interesting that you do say that because this next question kind of addresses that a little bit, but I would love to go to Shaka first on this one because it's just so profound.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
This one's from Andrea. For the panel, today was Luka Modric's last game as a Real Madrid player. What's his legacy at the club? And who do you think on the team Who do you think now on the team has his qualities?
Nobody on the team has his qualities. That's the easy answer to that question. Listen, I think Luka Modric's legacy will be remembered and defined by his arrival. And Sidlow talks about this all the time when he arrived, and there was a poll done, and he was seen as the worst signing of the summer or however long. And then he goes on to do as he does. Luka Modric is an incredible talent, and it continued to show it up until the very end. And I think that's what he'll be remembered for, being a part of those great Real Madrid teams that won, what, 5? How many Champions League he's got? 5? He's got 5 or 6. Anyway, how many? It's a lot.
But even up to last year, he still had an influence as a sub on Champions League games on occasions. And even when he played, he was one of their better players.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm still
You're still taking it back.
Taking in the depth.
The depth of that Xhaka.
The nurturing voice. Honestly, Shaq.
Xhaka, I would love for you to speak at my final game.
Yeah, I'm going to suggest to your agent that you become a child's storyteller. Read on the TV.
No, you know what he could do? He could read books.
He could read books,
like
audiobooks.
Audiobooks. Imagine Shaq man.
But there's a program in England called Jackanory where famous people go and read children's books to kids.
Harry Styles did it, didn't
Harry
he?
Styles did it. Shaka, it's you. All
it's
over.
You.
Yep.
I can't take yours.
But that recording is going to have to be before 10. We know that.
Yeah, we know that.
Yeah. Shaka, would you rather bedtime stories?
But kids go to bed early.
Yeah, so that works into his schedule.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right, final question, shall we, from Ezio. Ale, Xhaka once revealed that he felt he needed to go to university to properly mature as a player, to be ready to be a pro. Do you feel the same, or would you have enjoyed to be in a football academy as young as 14?
I would have enjoyed having gone to a football academy as young as 14. Those things didn't exist in the soccer structure in my country, in Venezuela. And the only reason I ended up going to school here in the United States was because it allowed me to continue to play soccer at a somewhat competitive level, trying to pursue a professional career. The path was not there for me, built in Venezuela, in the structures of soccer in Venezuela, to actually get into an academy at that age. So I would have loved to have had the opportunity to do that and actually see where that would have taken me. Maybe the path would have been certainly different, and maybe would not have been as successful. But maybe maximizing whatever talent level I had and exploiting that to the best of my abilities perhaps would have taken me in a different path, in a different trajectory, and perhaps more successful. We'll never know that. But if the question is as to what I would have liked to have done, yes, I would have liked to have been in the academy system.
Ale, you're a success in our eyes.
Well,
in our eyes. why she throw that in?
Yes. In others, not so much.
It's a bit like saying, I thought you did very well. I don't care what anybody else says.
Yes.
In our eyes.
No, but to the point about going to college, at least in my case, you're talking about between 18 to 21, 22 years old, that you're going to school here in the United States. That's 4 years that potentially you could have been playing at a professional level. And it's 4 years that I don't think I needed to mature, like Shaka's talking about, but they would have allowed me to mature as a player.
Yeah.
So personality-wise, or in terms of my upbringing, I don't think I needed that level of maturity. What I needed was help maturing as a player.
I think it suits a goalkeeper anyway, because goalkeepers don't mature until they're a little bit older, do they? So
Shaka's still maturing.
You didn't waste 4 years.
I was very mature at a very young age, I'll have you know.
I feel like Xhaka was born mature.
Oh, that was
very sincere as well.
Very sincere. Depth. We're going to leave you
Once
guys.
again, I have no idea what to say to any of this.
Xhaka's depth and his great voice. Like, I don't even know why I'm reading the next promo, Xhaka. I feel like you
should. No,
you should.
I'm not coming out.
With that voice, please.
I'm not buying
Xhaka,
to whatever it is you all are selling.
Give us the depth of your voice.
There's no promo to come.
Yes, there is.
No, there isn't.
Our show.
Shaka, please, be a
Bring
team
the promo
player.
up, guys.
What promo?
There we go. Read us through.
ESPN FC, available daily on Plus.
Hey!
What? Everybody's going to tune in tomorrow.
Yeah, they're watching tomorrow, or they're falling asleep. One of the two.
Gareth Bale is joining us, so please tune in.
Please tune in.